Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad to hear this morning. Wednesday, a hump day. We're getting through this week pretty fast, and all kinds of good things be happening. Let's look at our weather first. It's going to be a mild day, high of 66, low of 51, and the water temperature, folks, all the way down to 57 degrees. That's off the end of the pier, and that's from NOAA, so it's official. That's the coldest it's been all winter. Our river readings, the Apalachicola at Bluntstown is at an 8.3, very steady. Going to be steady for the next couple of days. The Choctawhatchee at Caryville, 6.4, and it's the same condition. It's real steady. Let's take a look at our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn right here on 23rd Street. We're looking at a low tide of 529 and a low tide of 342, but looking on the chart, we have neap tides the next couple of days. Saturday's going to be a good tide. All next week will be some strong tides. But we're sort of pretty weak next couple of days, though, on our tide chart. Also, I want to mention we have the wind direction now will be coming out of northwest about 8. And I want to make sure that we have coming up Friday, last year we had a better chance to, and talked about it, but this year we haven't had a chance to talk about it. There's a second chance on the poster right here, the second chance. This is our third annual shooting clays out at the shooting range, January 22nd. And it's registration at 7:30, and then it starts shooting the Sporting Clays tournament. This is a fundraiser for the community of with brain injuries and all. This is called Second Chance of Florida, and these guys do a great job with it. They promote it well. There's just some extra money to do some of the activities they do with those folks there, and it's a really good organization. So you can call. There's a number right there, Tim Matthews. And call him 769-7779. And if you want to go out, it'd be fun. I have a meeting. I have something that morning. I'm going to come by halfway through the morning. I'm going to video some of y'all shooting, and hope y'all are shooting well. All right, we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with our special guest. Welcome back, and look who's here today, Steve Shea.
Good to see you, Winston.
All right, buddy. Good to have you back. We always get such great comments when we have Steve on the show because he has such a vast knowledge of the outdoors, but more importantly, he goes in outdoors on a regular basis.
Sure do.
Regular basis.
For work and for play.
I know it. This is good. And we had a great time last time talking about all the deer situation with the bucks and all that. And some of the folks, some of y'all said, see what Steve says about the wild hogs. So I called him up and said, next time you come on the show, let's talk about these wild hogs. So what about them wild hogs?
Well, wild hogs are another double-edged sword here in Florida. As hunters, we kind of like them in some ways because we have relatively lower deer populations that grow slowly, and we have conservative antlerless harvest here, and then guys that like me that do quality deer management, you limit your buck harvest. So hogs provide a supplemental harvest opportunity for us to fill the freezer, and this year we're donating for Hunters for the Hungry, so that's a good thing. But the double edge of that sword is they are not native, and they can cause some extreme damage to the native ecosystems and compete with native wildlife. So that's the double-edged sword of having wild hogs on the landscape.
Yeah. And they came here a good while back, though.
Yeah,
they just, boom.
Hogs were first introduced by Spanish settlers in Florida about 500 years ago in the early 16th century. And Ponce de Leon, we have a town named after. Well, Ponce de Leon and Hernando de Soto were the two Spanish explorers that released hogs in the Port Charlotte area of Lee County.
And for food and all.
For food.
Yeah.
Is when they established these coastal settlements, they would release hogs and they would free range, and they were easy pickings to feed the settlements because of their high reproductive rate, much higher than native wildlife species. So that's why, and then the Spanish explorers, as they expanded across the Gulf coastal plain, they established more settlements and released more hogs, and that's what started hog population of the southeast and all across North America.
They adapted well.
Oh yeah, and now it's estimated that there's 500,000 hogs in the state of Florida. They're in every county in the state. And most coast, I think 35 different states and Canadian provinces they occur now. and it's estimated it's over 2 million just in the southeast alone.
So on this map here, all the blue that's hog population.
Yeah,
okay?
and this map is actually 4 years old, but it shows how the whole southeastern portion of the United States is just covered up with hogs. I mean, and they can be an extreme problem, especially in agricultural areas with the damage that they cause.
Just a quick question. I know we don't have viewers up there in the northeast, but like in that northeast corner up there around Maine or whatever, how in the world they got a little blue spot? Somebody just brought some hogs in there?
Yeah, you know, and a lot of this is because some could be natural escapes, but you know, some hunters will actually release like Russian, you know, Eurasian boar and establish populations. So the map, you see these populations that are way far removed from the big range in the southeast. That's due to reintroductions or introductions.
That's interesting.
So, yeah.
Very good.
But it's interesting is, you know, we talk about feral hog genetics. A lot of people think about the Eurasian wild boar. In Florida, there's no known distinct strains of that in Florida. It's mostly feral swine and hybrids with Eurasians. You know, this slide actually shows, you know, some of the color variations that you typically see in Florida. A lot of people see the old Piney Woods Rooter, you know, is typically a black hog, but there's so many different reds and browns and grays and white color variations.
When you see that white across the body, like, you know, bottom right corner, that one is white. What does that tell you?
Yeah, and, you know, there's certain races of hogs that have specific color variations, and the Hampshire hog has that white band, you know, just behind, and it's got black shoulders, hind and front quarters with that white band. So that's a Hampshire strain, and usually when you see that, you know that there's been some introductions or escapes recently to see that in your wild hog population. It's more unusual than common. So
Okay, that's interesting.
But you know, the big thing about feral hogs is they are so highly productive. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, they're actually 20 times more reproductive rate than whitetails. I mean, a normal range, they'll be reproductively mature at 1 year, but on good range in just 6 months. And those females will have 2 litters a year and, you know, 12 hogs per litter. So if you look at how unbelievable, it's like you have to have such a high harvest rate to keep up with them. And they only have half the gestation. It was, you know, how long the pregnancy lasts. Whitetails, it lasts about 210 days. It's like 115 days for hogs. So a sow will have a litter early in the year. Well, the females from that litter will be having young by the end of that year on good range. So it just shows you how the reproductive potential is. So
wow, that's strong. That's how we get so many of them.
It's crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy. And this is the other problem there is they eat, we call them omnivorous. They eat anything. They will eat any kind of plant or animal matter that they can get a hold of. This photo here shows what they can do to pastures. You know, they'll root up all kinds of grubs and worms and invertebrates. And Wiz, I was telling you this story is one time when I was on St. Vincent Island, it wasn't St. Vincent Island. It was on the river swamp in Gulf County. River came up and all the pine beds were that's the only thing sticking out of the water. All the beds were inundated with water, and just the crest of the beds were and the hogs just took the tops off. I'm talking about hundreds of acres, just took the tops right off the beds. And I said, what the heck are they eating? We shot some of those hogs. Their stomachs were slammed full of earthworms. I mean, I'm talking about tens of thousands.
So they were eating the worms on top of the little islands.
They were just rooting on because all the worms retreated to the high ground,
Yeah.
and the hogs realized it. So they're so opportunistic. And the same thing with mast acorns. I mean, they're like swine vacuum cleaners. I mean, they will outcompete whitetails just because how voracious feeders they are, and lots of times they'll feed in groups.
Well, that phrase has a lot of credibility. Don't be a hog. Don't eat all that stuff. So that's what we're talking about. True.
You're right. You're right. And also they have a lot of impacts on other ones. They'll eat eggs of anything. So you know, turkey eggs, quail eggs, you know, sea turtle eggs. So they cause a lot of damage to wildlife. And so the challenge is, from a hunting standpoint, is yeah, it's nice to have hogs because it adds a harvest opportunity, but you need to keep those populations in check so they don't actually hurt the species that you're trying to primarily manage for, you know.
And that's what the point we're at now is trying to do that, keep it in check.
Exactly.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Well, welcome back. Before we get back with Steve, I want to wish my nephew, Matthew Chester, a happy birthday up there in Bristol. Hope you have a great day, young man, and we're going to hunt together soon, okay? We're going to, he's a great outdoorsman and a great dad, and happy birthday, Matthew. And also, we'll add the names in the pickle jar tomorrow. We've got a lot of names to add, and we'll do that tomorrow. But we're going to spend as much time we can with Steve, because there's so much good stuff here. So, all right, Steve, what we got?
Yeah, well, we're still talking about food habits. You said in this photo, it actually shows a hog predating on a fawn deer.
Yeah, I didn't know they would do that.
Well, it's unusual that happens, but
Yeah.
it just shows you the extremes that they'll go to if there's a food available.
Yeah.
Funny, when I was a budding wildlife biologist living on St. Vincent Island, I was in tree stand filming wildlife, and I was actually see these small hogs that were grabbing something on the ground in these palmetto patches, and they're about 10, 15 pounds, and they were pulling so hard that their back legs were coming up off of the ground. Because hogs have upper and lower incisors, so they can actually grab onto things.
Okay.
And what they were doing is those saw palmetto shoots that they stay in a sleeve, and they're just coming up out of the ground, they're pulling the base out of the sheath, and they were chewing that succulent end. And then once I realized what they were doing, I would see the sheaths, were chewed off. What they would do is put them in their mouth, and they'd walk around and chew them almost like you chew tobacco and chew off that end with their molars.
That's amazing.
But it just shows you how these hogs just can figure out these food sources that are available to them at certain times of year. So if you ever see a hog standing in the woods pulling his back legs coming up,
that's
he's feeding on palmetto shoots.
Yeah.
But a little bit about hunt hogs and about their biology. And typically, hogs in our area, adult boars will be anywhere in the 130 to 200 pound range. Sows will be 75 to 125 pounds. But it's not unusual to get a hog that's over 300. I mean, we killed a couple on our lease the last couple of years that were in excess of 300.
Wow.
And a lot of people hear about bars. A bar is a boar that actually is castrated, and they will get really large. Sometimes you'll have animals over 400 pounds because all they do is eat. They're not reproductively, so they'll just grow really big.
Wow.
It's crazy. The other thing about boars is, all you guys that hunt hogs is they have upper and lower tusks. And they actually will wear on each other. The lower tusk is ground by the upper tusk. A lot of people call that upper tusk wet rock because it grinds it down. And sometimes you'll see a hog where that will actually be really long. We'll talk about how that happens. But hogs will compete for breeding rights, and so they'll fight with each other. And usually the two hogs will head to head, and they'll bang each other on the side. And so what they do is they develop a plate or a shield, which is it's a thickened adipose tissue underneath the skin. And what that does is protect them from getting cut up really bad when they're having those competitive fights. The bad thing for bow hunting is that also reduces your penetration of your broadheads as well. Yeah. But this slide shows an example of the cutters. This is actually Jacob Wade. Eric Richardson, that's his grandson.
Okay, very good.
And all these photos are pictures from the lease.
Local people, okay?
Yeah.
Good.
And you can see how those cutters grind down. Those are pretty decent cutters. On the right, that's Paul Todd. He's from Port St. Joe. He killed this animal on our lease, and you can see that long tusk that comes out off the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, that can happen two ways. One is the upper tusk gets broke off, and then that one will continue to grow because it stays misaligned. And I didn't realize this. I talked to my buddy that's a hog outfitter. He says what happens lots of times, those hogs fighting, the lower jaw gets shifted to the side and gets misaligned. And then one of those sides will grow very, very long. And he says a lot of people don't realize that. They think that it's just that tooth broken, but it's not. It's the jaw misalignment.
That's interesting.
Which is kind of cool. Certain things too is you say, well, what do you need to know about hogs hunting hogs? Hogs have the most acute sense of smell of any animal that I know. I talked to some of these professional guides and hog outfitters that hunt other species all over the world. They said a hog's sense of smell is better than whitetails or elk. It's just incredible. And the reason they say it is hogs can't see. They can't see worth crap. I mean, you guys know that hunt hogs. You can stock up on them so easy. Yeah. But sometimes when certain species have one sense that is poor, they make up for it in other areas. And Winston, we talked about this. My grandmother, who was hard of hearing, she used to tell me once I couldn't hear anymore, my sense of smell and sense of taste and all these other senses got more acute. Well, if you think about it, hogs, because they can't see, they really have to depend on those other ones. That's why they can smell so well.
Okay.
And then, the home range is very similar to white-tailed deer, 450 to 750 acres, so about the same. It's larger for boars because they're traveling a lot trying to find sows, receptive sows to breed. Life expectancy is about the same as whitetails. But they're far more gregarious. I mean, they like to be in groups where whitetails.
A lot more social.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, we got a good breaking point here. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back for our final segment. Be right back. Okay, welcome back. So here with Steve Shea, extraordinary hunter and wildlife biologist. But let's look at our fishing game times first before we get back with Steve. Brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers in Port St. Joe, 426 to 526. Up to 626 this morning, 447 to 647 tonight. And we're going to talk more about night hunting and all that. In fact, that's going to lead us into it,
yep.
talk about different times and all. So.
Yeah, and the thing is, what's interesting about Florida, state of Florida now allows you to hunt hogs at night. Hogs are considered property of the landowner, not a game species. So you can actually hunt them with a gun and light at night. A lot of people have got into thermal imaging hunting.
Yes.
And that's really taken off across the Southeast. Yeah. And some of these photos show that. A lot of guys hunt them with dogs, which is very popular. And hog trapping, there's a lot of different intricate trapping systems that are set up now to help reduce the depredation on some of these lands.
I want to interrupt real quick. My granddad back in his young days, that's what they did. They did it they would trap them. And of course, it's wood here. This is chain. They wood, and then they would take them home and fatten them up. Yeah. And that's how they would do it. But
yeah. So a lot of guys will even go at night when the hogs come in. They get real nocturnal really quick, even
yes.
with moderate hunting pressure. And they'll set up motion sensor lights on their feeder poles. And they'll stay in their shooting houses, and the hogs will come in and it'll light up, and they'll kill them that way. So
yeah.
it's perfectly legal to do that.
Yeah.
Now we're going to share some of the harvest photos that we have. This is actually my grandson, Elijah Newsom. He's 8 years old, goes to Southport Elementary.
Cool.
And he's been a hog killing machine this year. A few of the animals that he's taken, you can tell he's a proud youngster there.
Well, I'm telling you.
But, we've really stepped up our hog harvest this year just because of the Hunters for the Hungry, because we're donating all these animals for the needy in Bay County.
Cool.
And then a lot of people know this is Randy Burton.
I recognize Randy now.
Yeah, and his grandson, William Cannon. And so granddad, grandson team went out and killed a couple hogs here.
Good job.
Recently. And on that left, that's the priest at my parish. I'm a Catholic. I go to St. John's Catholic
That's your
Church.
priest. That's right.
My priest, and he's turned into such a hunter. He's killed some nice buck with me last year, and he killed his first hog this year. So
great.
That was this fall as well. And that middle photograph is Jason Lee. He's from Gulf County, Port St. Joe. Killed this nice. This is a 300-pound boar, one of the larger animals we've killed this year on the lease. And everybody knows Ronnie Groom with C&G Sporting Goods and his son Ron Jr. Well, that's his wife Jenny with a nice hog that she killed.
Good morning, Jenny. I know Jenny. Yes.
This couple is a husband-wife team, also from Port St. Joe. Josh and Hayden Braswell. That's Jason Lee's daughter right there. But they went out and teamed a couple hogs recently as well. So the good thing I found, our deer populations is, I think, down a little bit on our lease this year, but our hog population is strong, so we've taken advantage of that. And,
one common denominator saw all those pictures. They had that big smile on their face.
Oh, yeah.
They just feel good. Yeah.
And, I'd rather eat, pork than venison. Like when I'm making sausage, the texture is just better with hogs. So I enjoy it. But one thing we need to be careful of, you hunters out there, is processing and cleaning your hogs. I mean, they carry a lot of different diseases. This slide shows some of the ones that they have. Everything from pseudorabies, brucellosis, tuberculosis. Brucellosis is one you need to be careful of, and that's transmitted through open wounds. So it's best to wear gloves. You cook the meat; it's not a problem with any of this stuff. But you just need to be cognizant of the fact. And I wear gloves most of the time, all the time when I'm working with hogs. A buddy of mine got brucellosis, and it's sexually transmitted among animals. And the same thing with humans. He actually gave it to his wife. He didn't know he had it. It gives you flu-like symptoms. But as long as you take antibiotics, you'll be fine.
Okay.
So always wear safety gloves. We talked a little bit about Hunters for the Hungry too. Hogs provide an unbelievable opportunity for us to remove animals that can hurt other wildlife populations and the wildlife habitat, and remove those animals. Cody Behrens at the Deer Shack is participating in the Hunters for the Hungry program. We raise funds, so we'll pay for all the processing. You just drop the hogs off, say you want to donate for Hunters for the Hungry, and Cody will process it. We'll take care of the bill, and it'll go to all Christian food banks here in Bay County. So.
That's a win-win right there for everybody.
Yep, yep.
And that's good. You got it all covered, didn't you?
Yep. And I tell you what, you guys that use trail cameras, and I use the spy point, so that tells you when the hogs are coming in. So it provides such intel when you're hog hunting, because I'll identify family groups, and you can see where they're moving and what time they're visiting certain sites. And so, it's an investment, and you have to pay a monthly bill.
Yeah, I do that too. I love it. And,
but it does help a lot.
Okay, the big ranches you work with and all that, do they have hog problems down in the central part?
Yeah.
The same, so same all over then.
Yeah, and it all depends. It's like if it's a strictly agriculture operation or cattle operation, they're trying to hammer the hogs because of the impact it hurts of course, the ag and the pastures. But then a lot of those are outfitters as well. So it's just like I told you before, is they like having some hogs, just not too many, because they make a lot of money off the outfitting as well.
Yeah. Now, if someone not in a lease or something watching the show, they just want to go hog hunting, how would you recommend they get a hold of a guide or something? Somebody wanted to do it? Yeah,
there's a lot of places. If you just go online and look at hog hunting in Florida, it'll give you a list of outfitters. I mean, so there's no shortage of places to go hog hunt.
Yeah.
And most of the time they'll charge you a certain rate for killing a meat hog, and then more money for a good trophy boar. So.
Well, I know Paul Stokes up there in Alpha. He was doing it before it became really popular around here, but he does his thermal imaging, and he has a great clientele. So. Paul Stokes would be a good man to get hold of up in Alpha. I know him. And there are other good ones too.
Yep. And the other thing is we're at peak rut time for whitetails. I mean, mid-January in our area, mid-January to mid-February, that's the time when those big ones are moving. So.
Yeah. So we're going to get you try to come on once a month and all. And try next time we're going to talk about. But right now, between now and then, we'll be the rut right now. So we want to talk about that for sure. Well, we got all kinds of things to get into. So we'll see you next month. And we appreciate it. It's good information here.
Yep.
Good information. And how are you doing so far this year?
Oh, dude, I mean, we've piled up the hogs. I think we've killed 6 hogs. And I killed, of course, big deer up in Missouri and whatnot. But
okay. Thank y'all so much for watching. We got to get out of here. Y'all have a great day. God bless.
God bless.
All right.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.